I think what makes me a good enablement person is that I believe in my team. I stand up for my team, and I'm there for my team. One of the reasons why I really wanted to work for Airbnb is because at the heart of Airbnb, they're really big on connecting people. These high visible, sought off companies, you've got to think out of the box. They're not going to pick you if you're one of hundreds or thousands of applicants.
What would you say right now for someone in enablement who's actually looking for a job?
I think I kind of have like a 3 or 4 step approach to this. And this is like the outline.
Hey Carlie, how are you doing?
Hey, Michael, I'm good. How are you?
Can't complain. It's getting a little warmer here in Montreal, so I'm very pretty excited for the summer, hopefully. But again, it's awesome to have you on the show. I'm super excited to hear your story. I know you've been through a lot of different, things, and it's always exciting to hear a little bit more than just, pure enablement or AI or sales. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background, your journey, and what you're working on today?
Yeah, so my background's kind of interesting. I'm going to start way back since we have time. I started my career actually working for Global Crossing, which was a telecom company back in the day. I was helping troubleshoot toll-free numbers to companies all over the world and really liked the account management aspect of that. Then I kind of jumped ship and I was doing digital advertising for a large newspaper company in upstate New York, where I'm from. I did that for 7 years and loved it. I had a lot of relationships with like sales reps all over the country, and I was managing small digital campaigns online. And then at a very, very, like, I like to call it fate or destiny, I had gained a bunch of weight while I was in my 20s.
Mm.
And I had wanted to, no one wants to be overweight. I had tried, you name it, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, LA weight loss, all these weird things. And guess what? I had no willpower to stick to a program because, I mean, if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Let's be honest. I mean, do you feel like that sometimes?
Every day,
Right.
10 times a day. So
Yep. I mean, who doesn't love food, right? So I literally remember just like resigning to the fact that I was going to be overweight for the rest of my life. And then one of my sales reps at this newspaper company introduced me to this amazing product that is no longer on the market. It was called Sensa. And it seemed too good to be true, where you'd literally sprinkle this stuff on your food and lose weight. And I was like, not falling for that. Not falling for that. But lo and behold, Michael, I started using that product in December of 2012. And this is a huge part of my story, who I am, and how this got me into enablement. I used this product for 22 months. And every month, what was different about this product was that I lost weight consecutively. Some months I lost 10 to 15 pounds. Some months I lost 2 pounds, but
wow.
I consistently lost. And I ended up losing 125 pounds, which was more than half of my body weight.
Wow. Congrats. That's
Mhm.
crazy.
Thank you. And what happened during that was someone told the weight loss company about me. They were based in Manhattan Beach in Los Angeles. And I was at my little desk in Rochester, New York one day, checking my Gmail, and someone from the company had emailed me and said, "Hey, we've heard that you've had some success with our product. Can we talk to you?"
Yeah.
So I ran outside and called them, and they were like, "You are one of our biggest success stories. Would you ever do some work for us?" And I was like, "What do you want me to do?" And this is kind of what got the light bulbs inside of me turned on. I started doing like some really fun promotional things where I would go live on a shopping network channel and I would talk to viewers about how I use the product, answer questions, and really just share my journey of how physically, mentally, and emotionally losing all of this weight changed me. I was in a bunch of their commercials, and over again, people that worked within the company, friends and family that saw me on TV, they were like, Carlie, you're really good at talking to people, at explaining your story, and you're very like engaging. So I took all this feedback and decided that, you know what? I don't want to do digital advertising anymore. I want to work with people where I'm making an impact, but like I'm teaching them and training them in some capacity and helping people reach their potential. So I retailored my resume and literally wrote down all of the times in my life back from when I was working at the newspaper company of times that I stepped into taking on training. No one had heard of the term enablement back then,
Mhm.
and retailored my resume. And I'm like, I'm going to start going after what I want. And so I started applying at a bunch of enablement and training jobs on LinkedIn. And in April of 2020, a small company startup CRO, his name was Jerry, took a chance on me and gave me this title that was like, I think it was a funny title. I had no idea what I was getting myself involved in, but I knew I wanted to train people and
Mhm.
help bring out the best in people. And so I took that job, and it was hard. I remember like my first week, and this was like when the pandemic struck. So we were
Mhm.
all working remotely. And I remember we had a meeting with him and the sales director and myself. And he's like, all right, girls, there were two girls. I want you guys to go hire 10 AEs and go, Carlie, you're going to do the onboarding. This job pushed me outside of my comfort zones.
Mhm.
It was scary. I was afraid. I freaked out many times. But what it taught me, Michael, was that in spite of all that, I really felt like I was in my lane, and I felt like I was doing the work in part of why I'm actually here on this earth, which is to train, inspire, and motivate people. So I had the job at the company at that first startup. And then I think I've had like 3 or 4 enablement jobs along the way until where I am now. And I went through a couple layoffs, and then decided to leave a company because I just didn't really feel like that company was treating their AEs in a way that I felt aligned and okay with. My last job before this one, someone that I was working with in my first job at that startup company, she was became one of my friends. She was a sales manager there, and she's like, "We're hiring an onboarding manager. Come work with me." And she was one of my best friends. I adored her. So I followed her over there, loved the company, loved the service. And then lo and behold, 5 months after I started, the company had massive layoffs, and 100 of us got laid off. And I was devastated because
Mhm.
I was working at a company that I really liked, that I was growing with. And, you have to establish yourself at any new company that you're working at. And that takes work.
Yep, for sure.
So instead of what I had done in the past when I've got laid off, did I scramble a little bit? Yeah. Did I cry a little bit? Yeah. But I literally wrote a list, and I was like, okay, Carlie, again, you're going to go after what you want. And so I had to ask myself, what do you want? And I wish I had had that piece of paper to read to you, but I was clear on how much money I wanted to make. I was clear that I wanted to work for a class act company that was a leader in the marketplace. I was clear that I wanted to be aligned with the company's mission and purpose, if you will. And I was clear that I wanted to be in a role where I had a lot of interaction and visibility with my sellers and good relationships with my stakeholders. And so I job searched for a year. It took me a year.
That's crazy.
And I interviewed at some great companies. I interviewed at Zoom. I interviewed at Lattice, Rippling, like top notch companies. And then this role popped up at Airbnb, and it's been a year since I've been there, and it is wonderful. Like, the culture's great. I work for a division called Luxe, so these are our top of the top homes on Airbnb, which I like nice things, right? So it kind of fits. I live in LA. We have a large market here. I finally feel like I'm in my lane. I'm doing what I like, and it feels good.
I'm so glad to hear. You know what's so interesting, Carly, about your story? It seems like one of the biggest challenges in your life might be the main reason for, pushing you to get where you are today and being at peace and being happy. But correct me if I'm wrong. So it's just a mindset to say, it's just pushback. It's a challenge. I'm going to go about it. And you've been searching for a solution. Like, you name a few. It means like you wanted to change that situation. And when the right opportunity, showed up, you took it and then you ran with it. So tell me about this mindset, because building that mindset, to me, it's really rare to see someone, randomly and naturally say, hey, now I want to change. Change is very, very difficult. What happened?
I think if I think back to like what happened, I always say this, like, I had literally thought to myself when I looked in the mirror and I had made the decision, like, you know what? I'm going to just be fat for the rest of my life. It is what
Mm.
it is. There's nothing I can do about it. But once that changed, and I was like, if I can lose 125 pounds and completely change my lifestyle and leave a marriage and a relationship that I was in for 14 years, and I can move across the country from small little Rochester, New York to Los Angeles, and I've survived. Has it been hard? Oh, heck yeah. But if I can do that, then I can go pursue a career or a job that I actually want to be doing. Is so I like enablement. It's great, but it's not like I'm going to ask you this question and then I'm going to circle back to this. Do you know what your purpose is? Do you know why you're here on this earth? Do you know what your calling is, Michael?
That's a great question. If I give you an answer, it's going to be a fluffy one. So I'm still working on it, work in progress.
That's fine. A lot of people don't think about it. I do.
Hmm.
And I kind of hit on this earlier in our conversation, but like, I've thought a lot about this. I've read a lot about this. I've prayed a lot about this. I know I'm here to motivate, inspire, and teach. Enablement's fine, but now I'm like, okay, I'm mastering or getting it in a corporate setting. How can I do this on a bigger level where I'm helping people navigate their life? And so this is like this is my next, and I've been thinking about this for years. So when I think about my purpose and why I'm here and how I can use my personality to serve people and my sole purpose for being here, how can I share my stories of the falling and the rising and the getting back up to help people do that in their life?
Mm. You know what I love about this? We decided to talk about layoffs and how to navigate, your next career as an enablement personnel. But right now we are talking about something higher. We are talking about something, more important. If you have your why cleared out, if you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, which again for me personally is work in progress. It's always in my head, like, what's going on here? Why am I doing this? I have a personal reason for what I'm doing, but I think what you mentioned really translate to great enablement professionals, that they tend to have this desire to help people, to
Mhm.
help them get better, to understand their challenges. Not everybody has that heart and brain to sit down and listen to someone and try to coach them and understand like how they can navigate these changes better. But I think because you walked through this journey yourself and you came out of it, So you felt the pain. That's why you can relate to people easier. And many of us actually, you know, face a lot of challenges and we completely forget because it's very self-centered. You know, I did it, it happened to me, this is done. Maybe others don't even, ever face such a thing. But in reality, we all face some challenges and many common challenges. So let me ask you a question about what you said earlier, because I'm really interested in actually learning about this. You said I joined this startup and I realized they don't treat their AEs the way you like them to be treated. Can you tell me, what was going on in terms of like culture and what pushed you out?
Yeah, so this company actually wasn't a startup. It was one of the few companies. So I worked, I think, for five different companies in enablement, and this was the one that was around the longest. And with any sales organization, there's going to be times where an opportunity or a deal comes up, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's multiple people that are working on the lead or the opportunity, and it's a business decision. Are
Mm-hmm.
we going to pay this person, or is the
Yep.
company going to take the money? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were like, I think what makes me a good enablement person is that like I believe in my team, I stand up for my team, and I'm there for my team. And if I do a diagnosis of a situation and I believe and
Mm-hmm.
I hear all sides of the story, I do my due diligence, and I'm like, the AE deserves to get paid on this, or this needs to be
Mm-hmm.
credited towards the AE, and this happens like is a repeating issue, and the company continually favors themselves versus the AE, I'm not okay with that. Account executives who are doing their own prospecting, going out to meetings and closing their own deals, it's hard work.
It is.
And I understand like a lot of things need to be looked at, but basically this company made it really hard. If there was any gray area, they would never favor with the AE. And there were a couple use cases where they should have given that commission to the AE and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm supporting a team, I don't stand behind that. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the short of what happened.
Makes sense. I think it goes back to your core. Now it's very easy. Like, hey, this is my why. I want to help people. If something is against my why, this is not going to work for me. And look, you switched jobs because of pandemic, layoffs, cultural misfit, and now you're at Airbnb for a year. And it sounds like it's a great cultural fit. It's a great brand and company. Like we are travelers. Like we've been traveling around Europe and Latin America, and we get our places always from Airbnb. So it's a great product, great solution. But I wanted to hear from your perspective when you compare a company like Airbnb with other companies that you worked at. What are some of the I would say advantages that you have as an enabler, just to encourage people who might be actually looking for jobs to say,
Yeah.
hey, worth it actually to get somewhere better.
I mean, I think like what's different about Airbnb, and this is like one of the reasons why I really wanted to work for Airbnb, is because at the heart of Airbnb, they're really big on connecting people, right?
Hmm.
Essentially, our business model is that we are connecting hosts with guests all over the world, and people are opening up their homes, their rooms, their guest house to travelers. And so our mission or our calling is we're connecting people, where everyone is a part of this, everyone belongs. I happen to agree and I'm aligned with that just from like a morale perspective.
Hmm.
um this is unique to Airbnb, and I don't know if I just lucked out, but I think that there's a couple other things that differentiate this between other jobs. So
Hmm.
my manager, like I am a go-getter, I'm a top performer. I want my manager to see that in me and to
Hmm.
trust me and give me the autonomy, like I support our Lux division. I'm driving my ship. If when I need guidance or things unblocked for me, my manager's there. I knock, we have a discussion, she'll help me. but I really love that like these are my ideas that are getting pushed out to the market. Like right now, I'm creating a sales deck for my market managers to go to market with.
Hmm.
So I like that I have trust with my boss and my main stakeholders. So there's trust, there's rapport, we can be honest and direct with each other. And it's just such a good working relationship. And that is hard to come by.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Airbnb hires like good people, class act, like it's awesome.
Mm. I'm glad to hear it. Like, it sounds like this 5 years and 1 year just searching for what you really, really love and want really paid off. I'm super happy for you. Do you believe your reps burn leads practicing on client calls? When it comes to giving them one-on-one coaching sessions, just don't have the bandwidth, so you get rid of them altogether? Or maybe you notice that your team spends a lot of time on non-revenue tasks like taking notes, updating CRM, or drafting emails. These are the exact challenges we solve for other revenue leaders like yourself. With Sell Me the Spend AI Coach, you can offer your reps role-play sessions at scale while automating one-on-one coaching sessions based on your best practices and methodology. Also, AI will take care of all their non-revenue tasks, like note-taking, CRM updates, draft the email for them, so they can focus on constant improvement while you're focusing on one thing and one thing only: revenue growth. If you're interested in learning more about the clients we are working with or use cases that might be beneficial to you, check us out at sellmethespend.ai. Can I get a little tactical? What would you say right now for someone in enablement who's actually looking for a job? They just got laid off for the longest time. I know quite a few, enablement professionals. They're
Mhm.
great at what they do, but they have a standard, and it's been quite some times that they've been, searching for a position. So, what are your suggestions for them in this market with AI and all the microeconomics that we are facing to do to be successful? I know it's very generalized idea because people are different, their backgrounds are different, but you walk through this path, you pulled it off, you're somewhere very good. So I want to hear your suggestions and your thoughts.
Yeah, I think I kind of have like a 3 or 4 step approach to this. And this is like the outline.
Hmm.
I think number one is, and people don't tend to do this, getting clear on what you want. And we kind of talked about this earlier, but targeting companies and jobs and roles that you actually want to do. So, do you want to work in tech? Do you want to work in a logistics company? But getting clear on the kind of company, the size of company, the tenure of company that you want to work for, making sure that like you're reading the job descriptions and you're actually applying for companies and roles that you feel very excited about. That's number one, clarity on what you want and going after that. Number two, we work we are working from home. We are submitting our resumes. A lot of this is auto generated and looked at by AI or a applicant tracking tool. So people need to think out of the box and people need to get themselves in some capacity in front of the hiring manager. Do you want me to share how I did that?
Hmm. Definitely.
So I used a video prospecting tool called Loom.
Hmm.
I did this for every single job that I really wanted. I did this for Apple, I did this for Zoom, Airbnb, and Google. If I really wanted the job, I would record a personalized, customized video to the hiring manager. I would find the hiring manager's email address online. There's a couple different places that you can do that. And I'd create a short video and I'd attach my resume with a short couple bullet points. Essentially, I'm prospecting myself. That was number two, thinking out of finding out what I want to do, going after that, thinking out of the box and getting to that decision maker who is the hiring manager and showing in 60 seconds or less why Carlie. And then number three is doing my due diligence. If I had a connection at the company, reaching out to those people, and you mark my words, I wanted this job. Wasn't shy about going after what I want. So rolling my sleeves up, swallowing my pride, and sending emails to people that I did know. And if I didn't know anyone at the company, is someone willing to vouch for me? Can we meet for a coffee chat? Can we talk? Can I share some information with myself on why I want this? And I
Mm.
think it was those three things that got me the interviews at every company that I really want. Again, these high visible sought off companies, you've got to think out of the box. They're not going to pick you if you're one of hundreds or thousands of applicants.
Can I ask a follow-up question about the context or the video that you actually shared with these companies? Look, it's exactly like prospecting, like a good rep. Learn about the company, learn about the job, know who you are and the value proposition that you have, and then make it personalized and reach out to the decision maker. Now I want to hear about the message, if you can share. Like, what did you actually add in this, let's say 60 seconds, that got their attention? Because many people might actually record a video, but the message might be off.
I didn't overthink it and I kept it simple. So literally, I would take my little post it and I would write the name of the job title down. And I would say
Mhm.
something along the lines of, if you're the hiring manager, and by the way, I did a really cute in Loom, you can create little templates. So I would write out, hi, Michael,
Mhm.
comma, I'm Carlie, smiley face. And then I would record, hey, Michael, my name is Carlie Chiarenza. I just applied for the sales Luxe Enablement Manager at Airbnb. I've included my resume here. Some of the things that I've done in my past that I could translate to this job are XYZ. I'd love a few minutes to chat with you so we could get to know each other a little bit further. I really want to work at Airbnb because of XYZ. Are you open to a quick coffee chat? Done.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think when someone gets in front of me, if I really want something, that energy is going to be exuded across the call. So
Mhm.
you've now taken my boring little resume credentials, which big deal, right?
Yep.
Bring yourself to life. Show
Mhm.
the hiring manager in 60 seconds with your personality and your
Mhm.
light, if you will, who you are so that they call you.
I love this. And you know what? It's like doing cold calling or going discovery conversations. You might ask the same questions, same people, same buyers in front of you. The way you ask, the way they perceive you as a human being, are you trustworthy? Can they relate to even your tonality and all that? I think that plays a big role. And you mentioned about energy. They can see who you are. Many
Yeah.
people can actually use, let's say, Loom or video or this video and that video, platform. But how you send the message, if it's genuine, the real life example is in front of me. So it
Yeah.
apparently works.
Yeah. And I did that and it worked. And the other thing that I will say is that like there was a job for Apple that I really, who wouldn't want to work for Apple, right? It
Mm,
was like my number one company at the time. But I could, because in a huge organization, it's really hard to kind of like be a detective and figure out who the hiring manager is. I recorded, this was an extreme case, but I recorded like 20 videos to 20 different people because I'm like, I want this
mm,
job at Apple. So it's okay to multi-thread. And you
mm.
know what? It's okay if you don't get a response, but it's again, you got to put yourself out there, Michael.
Mm-hmm. You gotta hustle. Like you're in sales anyways. Like whether being an enabler or an SDR or AE or a sales leader, you're in sales. So you gotta practice what you preach. And I think that's a good exercise for any enablers out there looking, for a position. All good friends will. I love you all, but I did a lot of introductions to my contacts and network for some of the folks that were looking for a job. And what really shocked me was the messages that they actually sent in a reply, because it was nothing personalized. Hey,
Yeah.
this is my calendar. You want to book a call? It's like, this is an opportunity in front of you. It's a great company. You wanted it. You asked for it. Put
Yeah.
some effort just to at least personalize it.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to look down on you. Yes, maybe you have 20, 30 years, experience, but you are looking for a job. This is the reality. I'm a CEO of my own company. I hustle to get my clients because I have I have employees I have to feed. I have to feed. So, anyways, look, my last question. Right at Airbnb, you mentioned about the Lux. You love it. It's about luxury properties. It's very exciting. How do you guys actually leverage AI to do your work more efficient and better, or do you or
You know, to be honest with you, I use it a little bit in my day to day. I'll use it like, for example, I'm working on a sales deck for my market managers to go to market to pitch Lux
Mhm.
to different hosts. So I'll ask like Chat GPT. We have an internal version of it here at
Mhm.
Airbnb to create like an ad line for me, or I'll take like a little sentence and say, can you paraphrase this and make it more salesy or make it more cheeky or whatever it
Mhm.
is. So I'll use it sometimes to take my work and elevate it. Another example is I'm working on a project with a vendor. They're helping us do some prospecting. So instead of me sitting down creating these email sequences from scratch, I will ask our chat GPT, I need 4 emails in this sequence to speak to hosts, come up with a short narrative and include this, this, and this. So it's kind of doing some of the legwork for me, but I'm putting in like the foundation of what I need.
Makes sense. And are you leveraging your internal GPT to train your reps too?
No, I'm not. In terms of training, yeah, I'll use it sometimes again to elevate my
Mhm.
training, my documentation,
Yeah.
or my training decks. But I guess I'm a little bit old fashioned in that I still believe that in person or that FaceTime is best, especially when we're all working siloed at home. Um, I think it helps with engagement. And, our team gets together once a week, but this is another reason to get together. And when we're rolling out big initiatives, I want to be there and I want the interaction with my team.
I love that. No, for
Yeah.
sure. Like right now, again, everything is automated, and any face-to-face interaction has more value to me as well because it's more real. The trust factor is there because I can shake someone's hands or sit down for a drink and have a real conversation. So I'm with you. All right. So before we wrap it up, Carly, what's next for you?
Well, what's next for me? And that is, how can I take my reason for being on this earth, which is to inspire, motivate, and help teach people? How can I take that to the next level and do that in a more like life practice, life lesson type of a way to help people navigate life?
I love it. I love it. We're gonna take it, outside of this recording studio and have a
Yeah.
conversation about that. If someone wants to reach out to you, Carly, can they and how?
Absolutely. LinkedIn would probably be great. It is just, I think I'm the only Carlie Chiarenza on LinkedIn, but it's Carlie. It's Carlie. And then my last name is a long Italian one. It's Chiarenza. It's Chiarenza.
There we go. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I appreciate you, Carly, joining me. And until next time, bye for now.
Bye. Thanks, Michael.